Alright, hey, it's just Kr0nus here right now. I'm not sure if we're going to have a podcast out this week. We should. A lot of stuff going on in my life and some other podcasters' lives. We have somebody moving. Somebody had some issues that we'll probably talk about in the next podcast. Other folks are working, and somebody else went to Lake Tahoe. So on Wednesday, we couldn't do the podcast because I was doing a very long trip to Michigan and then driving back with my daughter. It was a 32-hour trip, and I drove the vast majority of it. So yeah, I flew on Tuesday at 7:30. I landed in Michigan, and we left the Detroit area right around 8:30. And me and my oldest daughter, who drives now, we drove her little P2 Cruiser to California, which is about, I think it's like 24 miles, something like that. And we just drove it all the way straight through. Me and her. Mostly me. She was tired, which is fine. I mean, she never drove long distance, especially that long distance. That was a long time. So I just drank a whole bunch of sugar-free Red Bulls and just let it ride. So at one point, I think I was about four hours away from home, and I was getting really tired. I was going to ask my daughter to wake up and start driving, but she was still really tired. And I was like, you know what, maybe I'll just pull over and just take a nap. And then that song by Cake, The Distance, came on, and I was like, you know what, let's make it. So I made it. Made it all the way home. The main reason why we didn't stop is because, for y'all that don't know, my mom passed away a few months ago, and her services were today. So, and today is also World Mental Health Day. So, yeah, it's a trip, isn't it? So, yeah, basically I didn't give myself enough time to really stop because I had to pick up the memorial wreath for my mom for her services, and I had to pick that up on Friday. So I had to make sure I was back by Thursday, sometime on Thursday. So I ended up getting back to my house at about, I think it was 3 a.m. on Thursday. So we basically beat our time. We're supposed to do it in like 34 hours, but we got here in 32 hours. So I wasn't going too fast because it was a PT Cruiser. Obviously, it's not going too fast, and wanted to stay safe. So my daughter in the car. So yeah, it was an interesting trip, and I'll have my daughter with me for a few months actually, through at least the holidays, which would be cool. I haven't been able to see her in a long time because of COVID-19. For y'all that don't know, because of COVID-19, I can't really go anywhere because my girlfriend K-Max, she is a CHD, or it's a congenital heart disease. So she's had 3 open heart surgeries in her life. So she is at high risk for COVID-19. So we've been staying at home, staying safe. This is the second time we've had to split up because of COVID-19. The first time was when my mom first passed away, and my brother came out. He came up from San Diego, obviously to mourn and grieve with us. And after he left, I had to quarantine for 8 days, then get the COVID-19 test. When it was negative, we got to reunite. So I did the same thing this time. I won't be able to see my girlfriend or my little one, Riley, for at least 8 days starting from today. So that really sucks. And to put on top of all that, I'm doing Sober October. So probably the worst year for me to do Sober October in the month of October, because obviously my mom's services was today. We had a split for my family. I got my oldest back, which is great, but her birthday's this month too. So yeah, it sucks. I wish I could have a couple of drinks, but I'm sticking with Sober October. I said I was going to do it, and so I'm going to do it. I'm going to stick through it. It's not too terribly hard. It just sucks when I sleep, but I got melatonin for that. There's Onnit actually has, if you go to onnit.com, they have a really good melatonin spray that you can just spray in your mouth, and it puts me out pretty well. But it's kind of trippy because if I do 2 sprays, I'll sleep pretty good, but then I'll wake up in the middle of the night, and it's kind of difficult to go back to sleep. But eventually I'll get back to sleep. But if I take 3 sprays, I'm definitely out. But then I have problems getting up in the morning. And for me on work days, that's kind of a big deal because I don't use an alarm clock. I haven't used an alarm clock since I was in the Marine Corps. I just get up naturally on time. But when I take 3 sprays of melatonin, it's difficult for me to get my my little internal clock going on track. So yeah, part of my beard, if it's all messed up, I've been wearing a mask today, and yeah, and it's been stressful. So other than that, I've been the infinity base is done. I'm sure you can see behind me. There's like stuff. Well, you can't really see because I'm using a different lens today. But I have some paintings of Kr0nus behind me, and there's other stuff. I'll do a tour of the infinity base probably in the next couple of weeks. It's still a little messy right now because I have piles and piles of comic books that have accumulated because when we first moved, there was a huge disaster with I installed the washer and dryer, but I didn't install the washer the washing machine's like drain tube correctly, and so I turned the washing machine on in the middle of the night, went to bed, got up in the morning, and there was water everywhere. And I use these things called drawer boxes, which are like these cardboard comic book boxes that you can actually pull in and out, and but they're cardboard, and so they were on the floor when I had standing water on the floor. And so yeah, it destroyed some of my drawer boxes and some of my comics. And I think that's the first time, or maybe the second time, my girlfriend saw me go through like legit rage. So I was so angry. But because of that, I kind of lost track of some of the comics that I've been reading, because a lot of my comics got disorganized, and there's only a few series that I was keeping up on. So like, I kept getting my main pulls, but I just didn't keep up on a bunch of comics. So I didn't know where I left off at. So because of that, I had basically 2 years worth of comics that were loose comics, and other comics that I did read. They were bagged and boarded, but they weren't alphabetized the way I wanted them to in my drawer boxes. I didn't have enough room to put them anywhere, but now I do, so I know exactly where I left off for all my comics. And all the ones that are bagged and boarded that I read, they're all put away, and all the ones that are loose comics right now I have alphabetized in numerical order, so I can just pick up where I left off. It'll just take me a few weeks, just kidding, a couple of months to catch back up. But I'll look forward to that because there's a lot of comics that I really wanted to get back to reading, like Wonder Woman, some of the more obscure comics from, what was it? The Dark Knight's Metal, Silencer, and there was one about the Speedster. I think his name was Sideways was another one. The Immortal Hulk I want to catch up on. Now they have the Immortal She-Hulk. Hopefully this time it'll be actually interesting because the last She-Hulk comic that they had was straight garbage. The first 3 or 4 comics, she didn't even Hulk out. It's like, I don't really care about Jennifer as an attorney. I care about She-Hulk fucking shit up. So this one looks like she's going to be at least in She-Hulk form, so I look forward to seeing that. I caught up on Empire. I stayed current with that one, so that was a cool event happened with Marvel that I really enjoyed. It was cool to have a new sort of villainous side with Katati. That was a neat thing. Yeah, but there's a whole bunch of comics that I need to catch up on. That I'll do so, and then I'll be able to get back to like talking about more and more comics instead of just like Batman and a few other series that I've been really caught up on. So yeah, World Health Day I didn't know was today until a bunch of people had mentioned it, and to me, I've mental health issues. I have post-traumatic stress and depression. It's things I talk about every now and again. But it's something that I think more people should talk about to sort of normalize it, especially I think men and men of African descent, especially because we go through issues that we just kind of sweep under the rug, and nobody really talks about it, and they don't realize that we're going through these issues. I have gone through therapy, and I do a lot of things to make sure that my mental health is healthy. That sounds stupid, but I make sure that my mental health is sound. That's why I work out so much. It's why I have like certain things that I do. Part of my sticking with my mental health is actually part of this podcast. Being able to see my friends and family every week and talk to them and bullshit with them every Wednesday night at 8:30 has been great for my mental health. Just to talk with a bunch of dudes and just bullshit. It's been great. I really miss seeing all of them. I got to see Prodigy today because he was there at my mom's services. It was good to see him and give him a hug, and yeah, it was really good to just feel like sort of normalized today, even though it was a kind of a terrible day. But at the same time, I got to say, my goodbyes to my mom, even though it's a few months late. But yeah, said my goodbyes in front of everybody, and I got to tell a really cool story about macaroni and cheese. About my mom. She made the best macaroni and cheese in the world. My sister is a close second, but my mom, we had this whole thing where I would shred the cheese, and I'm not going to retell the story, but if somebody recorded it, maybe I'll post it somewhere about what hard work means and things that you realize as you grow up. You look back and reflect on your time as a child, and if you're a parent, you look back on those things in a different way. Even if you're not a parent, there are things that you realize as an adult that you might not have realized when you were a child, and you get to look at those from mature eyes, and it really highlights how hard it is to be a parent, and what sacrifices parents do for their children. And a lot of parents, they don't get to hear thank you from their children at all. If they do, it's like kids might say thank you, but they don't really understand exactly what their parents have gone through, what they've sacrificed for them, and how hard it is really just to raise kids and not just want to choke the shit out of them for doing stupid shit. But that's just part of being a kid and part of being an adult, and I see it now, and it's one of those things that you always hear. You'll understand it when you get older. It's like this when you hear it when you're a teenager or a preteen or a kid. You're just like, yeah, whatever. I don't need to hear anything you got to say. I know everything. Or you might say it in different words in your mind, but you discount what your parents say because you think that what you're going through is some unique experience. On some level, it's unique, but at the same time, a lot of things are the same. We all make the same foolish mistakes. Your parents have probably done the similar stupid things that you did when they were kids, and they know what it's like on some level. Even with all this new technology, there's still things that you'll do that you don't understand. Like when I was driving, this has nothing to do with stupidity, this story I'm going to tell, but it's about my oldest daughter, about driving. There's a lot of things they don't teach you about driving. Like you go through driver's ed, you take these courses, you read all the literature, but there's still things that they don't tell you about, like courtesies while driving. I'll give you a perfect example. We were driving, and my daughter was coming up on this guy. He didn't get over to pass, which I explained to her. Hey, because I explained to her before, if you're in the left lane, it's a passing lane. Okay, it's not just a fast lane; it's a passing lane. You should be passing cars. And if somebody's coming up behind you that's going faster than you, you should pull to the right, pull over, let them go past you. That's the courteous thing to do. That's what you're supposed to do. So she was coming up behind somebody. She was going faster than them. He pulls over to the right, and there's a car in front of him. Okay, it's like maybe 10 cars ahead of him. He's got enough room to pull over and then pull back over. Let us pass and then pull back over. And he doesn't have to really even change his speed. So he pulls over to the right, and as soon as my daughter starts passing him, she slows down and goes his speed. And then, because she's not going his speed, he catches up to the car that's in front of him, so he has to slow down. And so then she slows down. And I'm like, what are you doing? I was like, you have to, he was letting you in, you should pass him or let him back in. Like you're boxing him in, he can't go anywhere. And she's like, oh. I was like, yeah, I know you don't know that. Like they don't teach you that, but that's like one of the unspoken rules of the road is like how to be courteous to other drivers. And it's like little things like that your parents can help you with to navigate this life through courtesies and customs that aren't really taught to you or told to you by school, which is where most kids get their education from. Well, basic education is through school, but they don't really teach us customs, like that many customs in school. There's too many unspoken customs that we all have to learn kind of the hard way in the society that kids just kind of stumble through. And then when they hit those weird customs things where they don't know what's right or wrong, sometimes they get chastised for it. And when that happened with my daughter, I was thinking, why doesn't she know this? I was like, well, she doesn't know. Like, how could she possibly know? And so if this would have been like a younger version of me when I was a much younger man, I might have been more harsh on her about this. But I'm in my 40s now, and I understand that she just doesn't know. There's like no way that she would know. So I just told her the way it is, and you're not in trouble or anything. This is just how it is. I'm glad I can teach you this. And I think that that's the way I try to come across teaching now, like teaching my kids, is just like they don't know a lot of stuff. Even though my oldest daughter is older, it applies more with her. The customs things comes through like being an adult, and so that's where things get kind of more nuanced. So they're more complicated stories to tell, or things to learn. But it even goes back to my toddler. She doesn't know anything. When I was young, I didn't really understand that kids don't know shit. It's okay though. Little babies, they don't know anything. They only know what you teach them up until they go to school. And when they go to school, that's when they start getting, different influences from different people. But for the most part, up until they start going to school, all their education comes through their parents. What you happen to teach them, or what you happen to expose them to. And so, with my youngest, my toddler Riley, I would talk to her all the time. Back before she even knew how to speak, I'd read her all kinds of books. We'd buy her books that were like ridiculous books. Like she has books on quantum physics, like quantum physics for babies. I'm serious, and like physics for babies, and like all these ridiculous books. And we talk to her all the time, read her all kinds of books, talk about all kinds of things, and she picks it up like really, really quick. When I was a younger man, I didn't really do that much stuff like that. I wasn't really so much of a great teacher. I just assumed that they'll just pick it up eventually. That's stupid on my part. That's how dumb I was. That's how much I didn't understand. And now I get it though. It's like you have to teach these kids these things so they know. I don't really know where I'm going with that. It just kind of a small rant of just what it's like of having children and teaching them. I just told a story about at my mom's services about how you think of things as like a boy, as a young man, and then as an actual man. Even though I'm a growing man, I'm by no means done growing. I don't know everything. I try to make myself better every day. And knowing that now, I think hopefully it's making me a better person. I know I'm better than I was, at least in my own personal views. I'm better than I was when I was in my 20s. I started really changing and becoming a real man in my 30s. Because there was so much stuff that I didn't understand in my 20s, and my 20s were not great. Not that I was like a piece of garbage or anything, but I wasn't in a good place, and I didn't understand a lot of stuff. I didn't understand myself. But now I kind of get it. I'm getting there. So, yeah, I don't want to make this too long, because to be honest, I just took some pre-workout, and I need to hop on the Peloton bike because I haven't worked out yet today, and I've got a pretty long streak going of working out every day. So either I'm doing the Peloton bike or yoga, or a combination of the bike and yoga. Just trying to stay in shape during the Rona. Because I've been doing this sober October, I've actually lost weight, so I'm down like 5 or 6 pounds, which is great. So that's one of the good things about doing sober October, is because actually I don't eat a lot of food, so I usually eat like one meal a day and a snack, and I get some calories through like alcohol. I've been recently, in the past like previous month or so, I've been trying to drink a little bit more beer. Not too much, but like 1-2 beers a night. You know, other than that, I would drink like Truly's, like basically hard seltzer with some added vodka. But now that I've eliminated those calories out of my diet, I'm slowly dropping. Well, not slowly. I'm dropping weight, and it's kind of nice. You know, I'm getting the V that points to my, the V that points to the places. You know, I'm talking about. If the ladies are listening, maybe the dudes too. Maybe the dudes know too. Where you get the abs and it starts pointing to where the business happens. I'm just saying, it's a great thing to have. If you're a man or a woman, just lets you know where the business is happening. Yeah, sorry if that was a lame joke, but I always thought it was funny. If you don't, whatever, it's fine. Yeah, with that, thank you for watching this. Hopefully I'll drop this in the next day or so. If we don't podcast tonight, waiting to see if Stitch can podcast tonight. Because me and Prodigy are free, but nobody else is really free. That's the main thing. So we don't want to do it with just me and him. There's stuff we want to talk about. We want to talk about the Mike Pence, Kamala Harris. I can say her name correctly now. Kamala Harris. I kept calling her Kamala Harris, which I realized that's the way that President Trump says it. And somebody else pointed out that he says her name wrong. And I was like, damn, I said it like him? I'm an asshole. So Kamala Harris and Mike Pence, they had a debate that we need to talk about. And some other stuff happened. There's a list. But hopefully, if it's not tonight, we'll record it tomorrow. And I hope you all enjoy that when it happens. I hope you enjoyed this small mini podcast thing, just so we can get some content out there. So let me know if you want to see more stuff like this. Because I know when I said the Infinity Base is done, you will get more content. And nobody called me out. I didn't make any more extra content. I'm sorry. I meant to, and I didn't. So, but now I've got the camera up and running again. I might need to move it around the Infinity Base after I clean up. Because here, let me just give you a small example of like how messy it is right now. Like those are all comics that are just like sitting there. And if you look over that way, there's more stuff. That's just more stuff. There's temporarily there's like that's an air tank. Those are more comics down there. I can't turn the camera too much more to the other direction, but there's a kegerator there with more comics on top of it. And yeah, sorry this is all loud. Oh, this is gonna be super loud. I'm very sorry, and I can't edit that part out. So yeah, if you're listening to audio, that was me moving around this janky ass tripod. Maybe I'll buy one that has the liquid filled one, so it's more quiet when I move the thing around. Damn, I didn't think about that. Anyway, I apologize. Anyway, I know I said goodbye 5 times now, but this is for real. I'm out this bitch.